Thank you for coming, everybody. Thank you for coming tonight. It's funny, my parents are in their 70s, and my dad still gets jealous of my mom. He has jealousy about the relationship. Suspicion and jealousy. It's weird. They fight constantly. My parents fight. They play fight, but it's like a fight, play fight, kind of like, is this marriage gonna last? I don't know. My dad, after his accident, the salt could never be close enough to him on the table. That was an issue for him, right? Like, the salt could be right here, and he'd be like, My mom would be at the other side of the table. Margaret, you pass me the salt? Pass me the salt, Margaret, please? Please? Okay, Vince, the salt's right there, but I'll pass the salt, because she felt bad. There's your salt. Thank you, Margaret. Thank you, Margaret. And then, like, 3 weeks later, the salt would be a little further away, but he was much better. Margaret, pass me the salt, please. The salt. Vince, you can reach the salt. Just pass me the salt, Margaret. That's all I'm asking you for, one favor. I almost died last month. The least you could do is pass me the goddamn salt. There's the salt, Vince. There's the salt. And now it's awesome. If my dad asks for anything, Margaret, would you pass me the salt? Would you like me to shove a broom up my ass and sweep the floors?
My comedy act has largely been influenced by my parents. I've got a dad who's from Italy and a mom who's from Scotland, and they're polar opposites in basically every sense of the word. And I guess nobody ever thinks that their upbringing is weird, but in retrospect, ours was weird. You know, we'd go from, my dad and yelling at his brothers in Italian over a card game to my aunts and uncles who from Scotland, it seemed like it was all laughter all the time. My mother, Margaret, left Scotland in 1969, and my dad, Vince, left Italy in 1951. They eventually met in Niagara-on-the-Lake, got married, and had 3 kids. Myself and my 2 sisters, Caroline and Eileen.
I love Joe's comedy routine. I think it's fantastic, and I'm obviously very supportive of it. Because I organize all of the events. But I think it's not only is it, I think it's a great feel for the community. Like, it's kind of a nice. Any comedy shows, I think they all bring the community together, which I love. I think that's great.
I always think. He's been given the gift of humour, the gift of laughter, which is a good gift. Everybody's given a gift, and I think that's probably Joseph's.
The big thing about him that I like is that 99% of the stuff that he does is for charity purposes. And so basically he gets the community together.
He always really admired a local man who is... He's a medical person in the community, but he also is involved with a lot of charitable events. And I think Joe sort of got the idea from him that this is one way that you can play a role in your community.
I feel like for him it's more storytelling. Like, it's not so much a routine or a comedy. It's just only probably because I've seen him, do that at the dinner table with our family. So I'm so used to him, making light of situations or just enjoying his company and he makes people laugh. I always feel like people can relate to the stories he tells. That's what I enjoy about them.
My dad's always had an issue, like a little issue with accountability, right? Like, if something's his fault, it's not necessarily his fault, right? Like, he would back into my truck with his pickup truck, would walk in the doors and say, "Why did you park your truck there?" I backed into it. The dumbest place you could park it. I said, "Well, why did you back into my truck?" "Because it was parked there."
One of the greatest joys out of our week is when my sisters and I get together at my parents' house for Sunday dinner. We meet most Sundays with all 11 grandkids, and it's kind of a 3-ring circus. When I think about the values that my parents tried to instill in me and my 2 sisters, I guess I'd say that hard work on my dad's side, that was balanced nicely by my mom's sort of charitable side. Most of the comedy I've done has been for the benefit of charities, either national or local charities. I don't take a lot personally from at home other than the joy of doing it, which is kind of the way my mom's lived her life and taught us to live our lives. She said, if you've got a gift, you need to share it.
You guys have been awesome. Thank you so much.